Very good morning, everyone. How are you all? Everyone fine? Last class, we started India's 21. We have done about what is functional currency and how to identify functional currency. Have you understood that? We have also done how to identify functional currency for a foreign operation. I hope you have understood. Now, changes in functional currency. Next point is changes in functional currency. So, can we change our functional currency? Correct. So what Ind-AS 21 says, functional currency once determined should not be changed. Means it cannot be changed unless there is a change in underlying transaction. Underlying transaction means on the basis of transaction on which you have determined functional currency, that underlying transaction has been changed, then you can change functional currency, but it is very rare circumstances. But the question is that when we change our functional currency, then what need to be done? What Ind AS 21 says, such change will be accounted as changes in accounting estimate. Means accounting will be on prospective basis, not retrospective basis. Correct? So it will be changes in accounting estimate. Yes, sir. Where there is a change in functional currency, where there is a change in functional currency, entities shall apply such change prospectively from the date of change. Hope you have understood. Correct. Now what they said, entities shall translate all items into new functional currency using the exchange rate on the date of change. Means you need to translate all item of balance sheet, means asset, liability, equity, by using the exchange rate on the date of change, exchange rate of new functional currency. Yes, sir. Now the resulting translated amount for non-monetary item are treated as their cost. Means I hope you have understood that key non-monetary item. We have done Ind AS 38 already. We discussed what is non-monetary item. Correct. Non-monetary asset means what? PP is a non-monetary asset. Correct. Inventory is a non-monetary asset. Correct. Then intangible asset, non-monetary asset. So you can say for that we want cost. Cost we will require for amortization, etc., depreciation, etc. Yes, sir. So for this, cost will be new translated amount. The new translated amount will become the cost for such non-monetary asset. I hope you have understood. Correct. This is very simple. So all asset, liability and equity will be translated. For example, previously it was dollar, now your functional currency become rupees. So you need to translate all asset, liability, equity as per the exchange rate of new functional currency on the date of change. On the date of change. Yes, sir. Now, coming to next point, foreign currency transaction. Foreign currency transaction, correct now. This is a very important from examination point of view. Ki what will be the initial recognition and subsequent recognition of foreign currency transaction? So what is foreign currency transaction? Any transaction which are denominated in foreign currency. Foreign currency means any currency other than functional currency that will become foreign currency. Correct? Will be will be foreign currency transaction. Now for foreign currency transaction, we need to understand what will be the initial recognition and subsequent recognition. Now what Ind AS 21 says, कि foreign currency transaction will be initially translated, will be initially recorded at an exchange rate on the date of transaction. Means it will be initially recorded as per the exchange rate on the date of transaction. So of course recording will be done in functional currency. Suppose functional currency rupees, but you have done one transaction in dollar and you purchase equipment at rupees $1,000. So on that date, $1 is equal to 70. So you need to record this transaction by using $1 is equal to 70. Means you record in functional currency, so it will become 1000 to 70. That is how much? 70,000. Correct? Or by using average rate. So either you can use transaction date exchange rate, or you can also use average rate. Average rate will be used average rate will be used only when it approximate to actual rate, when it approximate to actual rate. So when we say average rate means what we can do, either weekly average or we can do monthly average. Whenever lot of transactions are there in a month, suppose we are doing lot of transaction in first in foreign currency only, so some relaxation has been given कि instead of doing translation daily wise, you can record all the transaction for a particular week or for a particular month or for a particular quarter based on weekly average or monthly average or quarterly average. But that average whatever you have taken, that should be approximate to actual rate. Yes sir, we have understood. Means in exam you will follow the information given in the question. If average rate is given, to will translate at average rate. If transaction date exchange rate is given, will translate at transaction date exchange rate. Now subsequent recognition, when we say subsequent recognition, means at 2 point of time, either on reporting date or settlement date. Correct. Now for example, we have done credit sales, so can I say reporting date maybe before the amount of collection. So if reporting date is there before amount of collection, how to do subsequent recognition on reporting date, or after reporting date the amount may be received, so on settlement date what will be the subsequent recognition. So what Ind AS 21 says, for subsequent recognition, all item means all foreign currency item will be of two type. Foreign currency item will be of two type. One is monetary item, one is non-monetary item. So we need to find out what are our foreign currency monetary item and foreign currency non-monetary item. So for foreign currency monetary item, translation will be done by using closing exchange rate. Translation will be done by using closing exchange rate. For non-monetary item, if it is carried at cost price, if it is carried at cost, correct. Now so if non-monetary item are carried at cost, so no translation required. For that no translation will be done, so no translation is required on balance sheet date. But if such item are carried at fair value, for example for PP we opted revaluation model, or for inventory we are doing valuation at NRV, so that is become fair value. So if they are carried at fair value, then we'll use the exchange rate on the date of valuation. Correct. So if it is carried at fair value, then we'll do valuation at an exchange rate on the date of valuation, means when fair value is determined. Correct. So what is monetary item, what is non-monetary item, that we need to understand. Yes, I will discuss, don't worry. But what Ind AS 21 says, key treatment of exchange difference due to translation. When you do translation subsequently, so there will be some difference. On translation. So whether that translation difference will be transferred to PL or some other account, that we need to understand. So what they say, for FCMI, exchange difference on settlement of MI monetary item or on translation of MI means monetary item, are recognized in PL. So in simple word, exchange difference related to foreign currency monetary item will be transferred to PL. Always it will be transferred to PL. Correct. Now for foreign currency non-monetary item, can I say foreign currency non-monetary item will be translated by using exchange rate on the date when fair value is determined. Means it will be translated only when they are carried at fair value. So can I say that fair value gain or loss may be transferred to PL or OCI? For example, we have done financial asset measured at investment measured at FBTPL. We have done investment measured at FBTOCI. So it might happen the gain due to revaluation is transferred to either PL or OCI. For example, PP revaluation is transferred to OCI revaluation surplus. So what they say, if when the gain or loss on revaluation of non-monetary item is recognized in OCI, then exchange difference, if any, is also recognized in OCI. Will be also recognized in OCI. I hope you have understood this point. However, when the gain or loss is transferred to PL, then exchange difference will be also recognized in PL. Correct. So in simple word, you need to find out where the fair value gain or loss is transferred. If fair value gain or loss is transferred to OCI, exchange difference will be also transferred to OCI. If fair value gain or loss is transferred to PL, exchange difference will be also transferred to PL. I hope you have understood. Yes, sir. Now meaning of FCMI and FCNMI. Already I have done this meaning when I was doing Ind AS 38, intangible asset. But what is monetary item? Monetary item are those assets or liability, means it can be either asset or liability, which have fixed or determinable number of units of currency. Fixed means amount is known under the contract. Determination means it includes some variable element and we need to estimate it. For example, we have done under Ind AS 115. Transaction price may have some variable component. The variable component need to be what? Estimated. Correct now. So it can be either fixed or determinable number of units of currency. Correct. And which are realizable or payable in foreign currency. Which are realizable or payable in foreign currency. Means I will say monetary item can be of two types. If realizable in foreign currency, it becomes foreign currency monetary item. If realizable in functional currency, it becomes functional currency monetary item. So in this chapter, we are discussing about foreign currency monetary item. Therefore, the topic is FCMI. So we are not discussing about functional currency monetary item. For example, you have done some credit sales in domestic market as well as foreign market. So whenever there is a domestic debtor, so we are not translating domestic debtor. Domestic debtor will be recognized in functional currency only, but foreign debtor maybe the foreign debtor, because it is the transaction is done in foreign currency. Therefore, translation of foreign currency in functional currency is required. So what I said, which are realizable or payable in foreign currency. When I say foreign currency, it means in cash, not in cash equivalent. So foreign currency. Correct? Yes, sir. So what is FCMI? These are assets and liability which have fixed or determinable value, which have fixed or determinable number of units of currency and which are realizable or payable in terms of foreign currency. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. Means if it is realizable or payable in terms of Indian currency or functional currency, it becomes functional currency monetary item. So what are foreign currency non-monetary item which are not monetary item, that become what? For foreign currency non-monetary item. I hope you have understood. Identify MI and NMI. So we need to identify about the cash at bank. Can I say it will be MI? Cash in hand. MI. Bank loan. Payable in money. Monetary item. Fixed deposit. Monetary item. Receivable in cash. Debenture. Monetary item. Convertible debenture. Now, convertible debenture have two components. One is liability component, one is equity component. So, liability component will be MI and equity component will be non-monetary item. I hope you are understanding. Liability component means there is an obligation to pay. Obligation to pay in cash. So, there is an obligation to pay. So, if it is payable in cash, it become monetary item. Understood? Yes, sir. Expense payable. Can I say expense payable? Expense payable. So in that we receive goods or services. Correct now. The expense payable is liability, and for that expense payable, we will receive goods or services. Goods or services. So it is a non-monetary item. See, prepaid expense will be non-monetary item. Correct. Redeemable preference share capital. It will be a monetary item. Yes, sir. Because it is payable in cash. Yes, sir. Equity share capital. Non-monetary item. Investment debenture, can I say receivable in currency only? Yes, it is a monetary item. Investment equity share, non-monetary item. Inventory, non-monetary item. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. PP, non-monetary item. Provision for warranty, can I say in case of provision of warranty, can I say we have a obligation to provide services. We have an obligation to provide services, goods or services. So it is also non-monetary item. But if I say provision for legal damages, so there is a present obligation of outflow of cash. Okay, so it means it is payable in cash, so it become monetary item. Even though estimated, but estimated, it can be either fixed or it can be determinable number of units of currency. So when I say determinable number of units of currency, means what? It can be estimated also. I hope you are understanding. Bolo. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Compound financial instrument, liability component, monetary item, equity component, non-monetary item, advance from customer. When we receive advance from customer, so we have an obligation to what? Provide goods and services. So non-monetary item. Similarly, advance to supplier will be also non-monetary item. Understood? Yes, sir, we have understood. Correct. Have you understood this point? Can I say this is very simple? I hope no question is required for this part, but I will like to take one question based on this, which is given in ICA study material. This is very important. Can I take one question based on this? Yes, sir, we can take. Come to question number 14. Initially, the answer given was wrong, but now they have corrected it. Let's see. On 30th January 2001, A Limited purchased a machinery for $5,000 from USA supplier on credit basis. A Limited functional currency is rupees. The exchange rate on the date of transaction was rupees 60. The fair value of machinery determined on 31st March 2001 is 5,500. The exchange rate on 31st March 2001 is 65. The payment to overseas supplier is done on 31st March 2002 and the exchange rate was 67. The fair value machinery remains unchanged for the year ended 31st March 2002. Prepare the journal entry for the year ended 31st March 2001 and 2 according to India's 21 tax rate is 30%. And they have given tax rate also. Tax rate, very good question. Correct. I hope you are understanding. Have you understood the question? Bolo. 1 minute. Yes. Now. So let me draw the timeline what they have said. On 30th Jan 2001, they purchased a machinery for $5,000. Yes, sir. On this date, $1 is equal to 60. On 31st March 2001, they have done revaluation at what? Revaluation was done at what? $5,500. And on this date, $1 is equal to what? 65. And on 31st March 2002, payment done, and the fair value remains same. Correct? On this date, $1 is equal to 67. And the tax rate is how much? 30%. Tax rate is 30%. Correct? Now tax rate has been given to calculate DTL on revaluation surplus. Very good question. Means it is a combination of what? India's 16, India's 12 and India's 21. Three Indias will be combined. A question cannot be what interest means. It is very interesting question. Means super question for CA final student, I will say. Correct? So can I say first journal entry will be done on 30th June? 30th June, 30th Jan 2001. What journal entry? Machinery account debit to what? Payable to payable. In your suggested answer, they have written trade receivable, machinery account debit to trade receivable. I have never understood how can they write down trade receivable. It is payable ना. कितना मतलब पागल है वो. They are पागल. Means they don't know what to write. They don't know what to write in a suggested solution. I hope you are understanding my feeling. Yes, sir. So 5,000 into 60. This will be as per transaction rate exchange rate. This will be what? 3 lakh. Yes, sir. Understood. Now on 30th June, what happened? Sorry, 31st March, what happened? Revaluation was done. Yes, sir. Now, whenever PP is carried at fair value, then translation will be done as per exchange rate when the fair value is determined. Correct. Now, on 31st March 2001, can I say this is non-monetary item? This is monetary item. Correct. A monetary item need to be recorded at closing exchange rate. You can see it was 60. Now it become what? It becomes 65. So increase in liability means loss. Loss will be transferred to PL. Yes, sir. So what journal entry will do? Exchange difference. Exchange difference. Which will be transferred to PL. Account debit to payable. And this is 5,000 into what? 5, 25,000, 25,000. On the same date, we'll increase the machinery also. Machinery will be revalued. So machinery account debit to what? OCI revaluation surplus. So again we need to compare the carrying amount with revalued amount. So what is the carrying amount? Carrying amount is what? 5,000 into 60. 5,000 into 60. That is 3 lakh. And fair value is what? 5,500. But into 65. I hope you understood. 5,500 into 65. That is 3 lakh. 57,500. So this will be revaluation surplus which will be transferred to OCI, that is 57,500. Understood? Bolo. So there is no need to bifurcate ki how much is due to revaluation, how much is due to exchange difference. That is not required. Correct now. The entire amount will be transferred to revaluation surplus, that is 57,000. 57,500. Understood this point? Correct now. Means if you want to bifurcate ki how much is due to revaluation and how much is due to exchange difference, so can I say due to exchange difference it will be how much difference due to exchange difference? Can I say it will be 5,000 into what? 5,000 due to exchange difference. Batao. Are you getting what I am saying? Yes, sir. So 1 minute. So can I say if I say due to revaluation, so can I say it will be how much? 500 is the increase and you will take into 60, that is equal to what? How much? 30,000 is due to revaluation and balance will be what? Balance is what? 27,500, that is due to exchange difference. But this bifurcation is not required. This bifurcation is not required. You can do what? A compound journal entry. You can do one compound journal entry. I hope you have understood this point. Have you understood this point? Batao. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Correct? Any doubt? No doubt. Then on 31st March 2002. Can you say liability is paid? Means we'll do payable account debit. Payable account debit. What is the carrying amount of payable? The carrying amount of payable is 5,000 into 5,000 into 60. That is equal to what? 3 lakh. But now it is 65. So it is 3 lakh 50,000. Means I am just writing. It will become 5,000 into 65. So how much it will come? 5,000 into 65. That is 3 lakh 25,000. Yes, sir. And how much bank? It is 5,000 and will pay how much as per the exchange rate on this date 67. So 5,000 into 67 is equal to what? 3 lakh 35,000. The exchange difference 1 second loss will be debited. So this will be 5,000 into 2, that is 10,000. 10,000. Correct? अच्छा, one journal entry forgotten. Can I say यहाँ पर we'll also create DTL. So DTL will be what? Revaluation means OCI, revaluation surplus account debit to DTL, that I have forgotten. DTL. DTL will be on what? Revaluation gain, that is 57,500 into what? 30%, that is 17,250. 17,250. Understood? Have you understood this point? Any doubt? Have you understood this point? Any doubt? Now, one Jana entry has done wrong. Just try to understand at this point of time. Can you see in this case no revaluation? No revaluation. Why no revaluation? Because fair value remains same. 5,500 remains same. So what Ind AS 21 says कि we will take the transaction date of which date when the fair value was determined. So can you see it will be translated by using 65, but in your suggested solution they have taken 67, which is wrong. So it means, can I say, when we translate non-monetary item and non-monetary item is carried at fair value, so translation will be done at a rate when fair value is determined. So in this case no revaluation and it is 5,500. 5,500. So fair value is of which date? Fair value is 31st March 2001. So can you see we will translate by using when the fair value is determined, therefore no translation required. But in your suggested solution, if you see what they have done, this is 100% wrong. So they have not corrected this point. This is wrong, and they have transferred to PL. Machinery account debit to PL means no point of this journal entry. They have credited to PL. Why they have done this? We also don't know. Correct now. So this is 100% wrong journal entry. Wrong journal entry. You can delete it. Only this journal entry will be done. I hope you have understood. Correct? Have you understood? And these two journal entry you can compound. Very good question. Have you understood this point? Bolo. Any doubt? Yes, sir. Let us take one more question. Supplier A Limited enter into contract with customer B Limited on 1st Jan 2018 to deliver goods in exchange of total consideration of $15 million and receive an upfront payment of $20 million on this date. Correct. The functional currency of the supplier is INR. The goods are delivered and revenue is recognized on 31st March 2018. $30 million is received on 1st April 2018 in full and final settlement of purchase consideration. State the date of transaction for the advance consideration and recognition of revenue. Also state the amount of revenue in INR to be recognized on the date of recognition of revenue. The exchange rate on 1st Jan and 31st March is 72 and 75. Very good question. Expected question in exam. Means there is one appendix B in relation to this topic, but we'll do without appendix B. Means we'll apply our common sense. We'll apply our common sense. Correct now. On 1st Jan 2018, correct now, a contract was entered for a consideration of US 50 million, and on this date advance was received. Advance received. How much advance received? $20 million. $20 million. Correct. Goods are delivered and revenue is recognized on 31st March. On 31st March 2018, as per Ind AS 115, let us assume revenue is recognized. Revenue is recognized. Yes, sir. Correct. And the entire amount was received on which date? On 1st April 2018. So entire amount means $30 million is received on 1st April 2018. Means next day only. So on 1st April 2018, amount received. Amount received. So can we start? On 1/1/2018, suppose we have not done appendix B, so let's see what will be our common sense. What will be our common sense? Correct now. So we receive advance, what journal entry? Cash account debit to advance from customer. My question to you all, advance from customer is MI ki NMI, non-monetary item? It is non-monetary item. It is not monetary item. And we received $20 million multiplied by what? Exchange rate on the transaction date. The exchange rate on the transaction date is 72. So we'll do 72. Correct. Multiplied by 72. So you can see 20 million into 72 is equal to 1440. So this transaction will be recognized in rupees 1440. Any doubt about this? I hope you have understood this point. Bolo. Any doubt? No doubt? Then can I say on 31st March 2018 we recognize revenue. So when you recognize revenue, you will pass advance account debit 1440. Can I say we do not translate non-monetary item if carried at cost? So it is cost only. So non-monetary item are not translated if carried at cost. So no translation. But can I say we have trade receivable also? Trade receivable of 30 million. So it will be 30 million as per the exchange rate of this date. So what is the transaction date exchange rate of this date is how much? 75. So we'll do multiplied by 75. I hope you are understanding. So 75. So 30 into 75 is equal to what? 2250. 2250. I hope you have understood. Yes, sir. To revenue. To a revenue. How much revenue? How much revenue? It will be what? 2250 plus 1440. 2250 plus 1440 is equal to what? 3690. Revenue will be recognized. 3690 revenue will be recognized. I hope you have understood. And on 1/4/2018, the amount will be received. This trade receivable will be received. And if there is changes in exchange rate, that will be also considered. So this trade receivable is a monetary item. So what appendix B says, check karenge. What they said. This is the case of revenue recognized at a single point in time with multiple payment. So appendix B is what? Single transaction with multiple payment. As per the guidance given in appendix B to Ind AS 21, A Limited will recognize a non-monetary contract liability amounting to rupees 1440 million by translating $20 million at 72. A Limited will recognize the revenue as on 31st March 2018, that is the date when which transfer the goods to the customer. A Limited determined that date of transaction for revenue relating to the advance consideration of $20 million is 1st Jan. Applying para 22 of Ind AS 21, A Limited determine the date of transaction for remainder of revenue is 31st March. So 31st March 2018, D recognized non-monetary contract liability of 20 million and recognized US dollar 20 million of revenue using the exchange of 70. We have done that only. We have done advance to revenue. Yes, sir. Recognize revenue and receivable for the remaining US dollar using the exchange rate 75. We have done that only. The receivable 30 million is a monetary item, so it should be translated using closing rate until receivable is settled. So if it is settled after some date, so whenever it's settled, we use the closing exchange rate of settlement date. Yes, sir. Very good question. Appendix B is attracted from my point of view expected. So whenever questions come, even though you can do without applying appendix B, but you need to write down that this is as per appendix B to Ind AS 21. But I suppose clarification was not required. It was understood from the fact only that whenever there is a one contract with multiple payment, so can I say there can be different date of transaction for receipt of advance and for recognition of revenue. I hope you have understood. Yes, sir, you have understood. Correct? Yes, sir. This much we have understood. So I have taken two good questions. Yes, sir. Now coming to the next point, foreign operation. Now, foreign operation can be in the form of foreign subsidiary, foreign joint venture, foreign associate, or foreign branch. Correct. Now, till now, Institute has not given any question based on consolidation of foreign subsidiary, foreign associate, foreign joint venture. But they have given a question of concept based on this chapter. So we need to understand what Ind AS 21 says. What Ind AS 21 says. Can you say whenever there is a foreign operation, we need to translate foreign operation in the functional currency of parent entity for consolidation purpose? For consolidation purpose means there are two aspects. Just try to understand. Suppose parent company and foreign subsidiary, functional currency is rupees and this is also rupees. Then can I say functional currency of foreign operation can be also rupees, that we have understood, correct? Now then can I say no translation required? No translation required. Second, if I say parent and foreign subsidiary, this is rupees, this is dollar. So first we need to translate in rupees and then consolidation can be done. I hope you have understood. And third example is what? Suppose there is one entity whose functional currency is dollar but presentation currency is rupees. Then also translation required. So there are 2 points. Translation of foreign operation. Translation of foreign operation. Our second is translation of functional currency into presentation currency. There are two topics. The rules for both the topic remain same. The rules remain same. What they say? Ki translation to presentation currency or translation of foreign operation. So what they said, any item or assets means any item balance sheet which is assets and liability that will be translated by using closing exchange rate at reporting date. Closing exchange rate on reporting date. Yes, sir. All income and expense will be translated by using either transaction date exchange rate or average rate. Correct now. So either by using transaction date exchange rate or average rate. For equity, you need to be thoda sa clear. Now, if it is a foreign operation, so equity means equity share capital and retained earning on the date of acquisition. Equity share capital and retained earning on the date of acquisition. So that will be translated by using exchange rate on the date of transaction. On the date of acquisition, exchange rate on the date of acquisition. So if foreign operation, equity on the date of acquisition will be translated by using exchange rate on the date of acquisition. Correct? Yes, sir. But if it is other than FO, means we are translating from functional currency to presentation currency, not for consolidation purpose, only for presentation purpose, then transaction rate exchange rate will be taken. Means when the equity shares were issued, that rate will be taken. Note, Any difference due to such translation will be transferred to FCTR. FCTR means Foreign Currency Translation Reserve. Foreign Currency Translation Reserve, which will be shown as a part of OCI. Which will be shown as a part of OCI. So it will be transferred to OCI as FCTR, accumulated in other component of equity known as Foreign Currency Translation Reserve. FCTR will be reclassified to PL on disposal of FO. Means once the FO will be disposed of, once the foreign operation will be sold, then what? Then what? The entire FCTR will be classified to PL. Means can I say this is OCI which is can be reclassified to PL on disposal of FO, on disposal of FO. When I say on disposal of FO, means in case of subsidiary, when there is a loss of control, when there is a loss of control. Yes sir. Now any FCTR will be distributed between owner of parent and as NCI and CFS. So FCTR will be allocated to owner of parent and non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest. I hope you have understood correct. Let me take one question of translation. Let me take one question of translation. So I will take the question which has been given. Come to question number 7. Already asked in exam. Question number 7. Infotech Global Limited has a functional currency of US dollar and need to translate its financial statement into the functional and presentation currency of Infotech Limited. So it might happen uh, Infotech Incorporation is a parent of Infotech Global Limited. Correct? Understood. The functional and presentation currency of parent is same. That is L dollar. Correct? The following is the statement of financial position of Infotech Global Limited prior to the translation. So can I say PP by using closing rate, receivable closing rate, correct? Issued capital will be translated by using the translation rate of translation means exchange rate on the date of acquisition or on the date of transaction, whatever given. Opening retained earning, this is given opening retained earning. So you can see this translation is already given. So opening retained earning, also translation amount is given. Thank you very much. Yes sir. Profit for the year, can I say average? Account payable closing, account accrued liability closing. So translation can be done easily. You can see they have given beginning, opening, they have given for the year ended, means this is average, and they have given closing. So opening is still not required, only we require these two, only we require these two. So you can see property, plant and equipment we have taken closing, receivable we have taken closing, but you can see here $1 is equal to US dollar 1.22. So here you need to divide, means you will do 50,000 divide by what, 1.13, then your answer will come. Correct? Now that you know, that you be careful, this is very danger. Correct? Understood? Yes sir. Means what they have given, 1 L dollar is equal to US dollar 1.22. Correct? But you need to find out from $1 point of view. So $1 is equal to 1 by 1.22 L dollar. I hope you are understanding what I am saying. Yes sir. And you can see this translated amount was given, this translated amount was given. Correct? For profit we have taken average, for liability we have taken closing, and the difference between these two, the difference in balance sheet, the difference in balance sheet due to translation will be transferred to FCTR. This FCTR can have debit balance as well as credit balance, both either debit or credit balance. It will be shown under other equity. Correct? Through OCI. I hope you have understood. Yes sir, we have understood. Now they have asked one more question in this. I have done this question not for this translation because translation was very easy. Prepare working of the cumulative balance of FCTR. This may be asked. Cumulative balance. What is the reason of this cumulative balance? The reason of this cumulative balance was that this was not, this all three, equity, profit and retained earning, was not translated at closing rate, because for that we have taken some earlier rate. Correct now? Yes, sir. So can I say this was the reason? This was the reason. So can I say issued capital amount translated was 30,055. But if you would have translated by using closing rate, then what would be your amount? So can I say the amount would have been 50,000 divided by 1.13, that is 44,247. Similarly, opening retained earning translated amount is 15,247, but amount by using the closing exchange rate will be this become difference, this become difference. You can see profit we have taken average rate, but if you would have taken closing rate, then what was the amount? This was the amount, and that sum total of this will be equal to FCTR. The sum total will be equal to FCTR, which is unrealized gain, which is unrealized gain. Means it's as simple as, just try to understand. Suppose you have you have done, means one company was formed by issue of equity shares. So 10,000, suppose cash was there, and $10,000 amount received into what 70. The total investment 10,000 into 70 is equal to 7 lakh. This much amount received, so this also become 7 lakh. Correct? Understood. Now from this cash, suppose you purchase property, plant and equipment. Property, plant and equipment 7 lakh. Correct? Understood. This is the position right now. Now can you see, if you sell this foreign operation, it means you will get the fair value of this PP. Correct now. So fair value means you will translate by using closing rate. Closing rate. So can I see it become 10,000 into 75. So it becomes 7,50,000. So guys, 7,50,000 minus 7 lakh. This 50,000 is unrealized gain. So you can see equity will be translated by using what? Transaction date exchange rate, and this become unrealized gain because till now foreign operation has not been sold. So this unrealized gain will be transferred to OCI and accumulated in a other component of equity, that is not that is known as FCTR, which will be reclassified to PL on disposal of this. On disposal of this. I hope you are understanding. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. We have understood. Correct. Understood? Yes, sir. Now, now there is some special point for consolidation. This is very important. Special point for consolidation. However, till now they have not asked any question based on this, but expected question pakka. Correct? Yes, sir. Now, first, intra-group transaction. Intra-group transaction means there can be some intra-group transaction due to which there can be some monetary item in their separate financial statement and individual financial statement. For example, just try to understand. Parent company, subsidiary company. Now, parent company has done transaction in what? Foreign currency. Suppose the functional currency of this is what? Is dollar. Suppose it is rupees and it is dollar. Correct? And they have sold goods. They have sold goods in $10,000. So guys, this is functional currency transaction for subsidiary, but it become foreign currency transaction for parent. So can I say in their balance sheet, this will be translated by using functional currency, but that will come in $10,000 only यहाँ पर $10,000. Are we able to understand? Correct? Understood. Now, can you see this is a monetary item? This is monetary item means in the books of parent there is some receivable in foreign currency. There is, and in the books of subsidiaries there is some payable. There is some payable in functional currency. Are we able to understand what I am saying? Yes, sir. We are able to understand. Correct? Understood. I hope you are understanding. So can you say this will come at what? Transaction rate exchange rate. Suppose transaction rate exchange rate is, suppose this is receivable and this is payable, is equal to 70. So this will come at 7 lakh. Yes, sir. But this will come in functional currency, that is dollar. This will be prepared in rupees. Correct. Now for consolidation purpose, suppose consolidation is done on 31st March. So first they will translate by using what? Closing rate. Now suppose closing rate become 75. So this will come at 7,50,000. 7,50,000. and there will be one exchange gain which will be transfer retained earning, that is 50,000. But can I say this will come in $10,000 only? But can I say this foreign operation will be translated in the functional currency of parent entity? I hope you are understanding. Correct. Now this will be translated by using closing rate, and this become 10,000 into what, 75, that is 7,50,000. Now in consolidated financial statement, can I say this monetary item will be cancelled? The doubt is that in CFS, what we'll do about this exchange gain or loss which resulted due to translation of monetary item in their separate financial statement. So what Ind AS 21 says, this will not be eliminated. Why? Why? Because even though transactions are eliminated, but can I say payment will be done, and whenever payment will be done, so this parent entity is exposed to some gain or loss, and if they are exposed to some gain or loss, that gain or loss should be recognized. I hope you are understanding what I am saying. So transaction is eliminated from CFS because we are preparing CFS from the point of view of one entity. But then also, can a subsidiary will pay to parent, and when subsidiary will pay to parent, there will be some exchange gain or loss. So they are exposed to exchange gain or loss. Therefore, exchange gain or loss will not be eliminated in CFS. Understood? Yes, sir. So what they said, monetary items which are receivable and payable within group are translated at closing exchange rate in SFS or IFS of the entity. Any difference due to such translation is transferred to PL in SFS or IFS of the entity as the case may be. In CFS, intra-group transactions are eliminated, but related exchange difference will not be eliminated in the CFS. So intra-group transaction will be eliminated, but related exchange difference will not be eliminated. I hope you have understood this point. Have you understood this point? Bol. Have you understood this point? No doubt? Yes, sir. So I think this is very simple. This point number B is interesting, and I'm expecting one question on this basis. Expected. Net investment in FO. Net investment in FO for an operation. Now already when I was doing consolidation chapter, I said in case of associate, there may be some receivable and payable, long-term receivable and payable, for which settlement is not planned, nor for which neither settlement is planned nor foreseeable in near future. So that will be part of net investment. That will be part of net investment. Correct now? I hope you have understood. So these are also monetary item, receivable and payable, long-term receivable and payable. Correct. Long-term receivable and payable. So what Ind AS 21 says, just try to understand. Net investment FO, it is the amount of the reporting entity's interest in the net asset of FO. In the net asset of FO, any entity may have monetary item that is receivable or payable within group. An item or monetary item for which settlement is neither planned nor likely to occur in the foreseeable future is treated as a part of entity's net investment in FO. Is treated as a part of entity's net asset in FO. Net asset in FO. Net investment in FO. Correct? Understood? Now what they say means these are monetary item, but there will be some difference in point number 1 and point number 2. Means point number 1 is a monetary item but not a part of net investment FO. Means can I say for these are either short term or long term for which settlement is planned. For which settlement is planned. Are you able to understand? Means right now we are discussing about monetary item for which settlement is neither planned nor likely to occur in foreseeable future. Are you able to understand? Yes, sir. Such monetary item may include long-term receivable and payable, but all long-term receivable and payable will not be a part of net investment in FO. I hope you are understanding. So what they say, exchange difference arising on monetary item that form part of net investment in FO will be recognized in PL, in SFS or IFS of the reporting entity. Because these are monetary item, can I say this will be translated by using closing exchange rate, and any difference will be transferred to PL? In this, no doubt. Doubt is for what? Whether that exchange gain or loss will be eliminated or will not be eliminated. Are you getting what I am saying? So can I say in this, if the if the settlement is not planned, so if the settlement is not planned, so can I, there is no exposure of gain or loss. Means can I say parent entity or subsidiary company are exposed to gain or loss only when the transaction is settled. If the transaction is not settled, so can I say parent company or subsidiary company are not exposed to any gain or loss on settlement. Therefore, what they are saying in CFS, such exchange difference is taken to OCI, from PL. It will be reclassified to OCI. It will be transferred to from PL to OCI and accumulated in separate component equity, that is FCTR, which will be reclassified to PL only on disposal of FO. Means it will be accumulated in OCI. It will be accumulated in OCI FCTR, but it will not be retained in PL. So any exchange gain or loss which was initially transferred to PL in separate financial statement or individual financial statement, as the case may be, will be now taken to OCI and accumulated in FCTR, which will be reclassified to PL only on disposal of FO. I hope you have understood. Let me take one question. Come to question number 11. Entity A, whose functional currency has a foreign operation. Entity B, with a euro functional currency. Entity B issued a perpetual debt. It has no maturity. Means can a settlement is not planned? Yes, sir. Denominated in euro with an annual interest rate of 6%. The perpetual debt has no issuer call option or holder put option. Means there is no call or put option. Means there is no right to redeem. Means there is no right to buy or right to sell with either party. Thus, contractually, it is just an infinite stream of interest payment in euro. Infinite stream of interest payment in euro. Means it has two parts. One is what? Liability component in terms of interest, and one is equity component for principal part. Are you getting? So it need to be split. This become liability component, this become equity component. I hope you are understanding whatever I am saying. In A's consolidated financial statement, can the perpetual debt be considered in accordance with Ind AS 21, a monetary item for which settlement is neither planned nor likely to occur in the foreseeable future, with the exchange gain or loss on the perpetual debt therefore being recorded in equity. Therefore being recorded in equity in CFS, because it will be transferred from PL to OCI. OCI means equity component. Yes, sir. Then what is the answer given? As per Ind AS 21, net investment in foreign operation is the amount of reporting entities interest in the net asset of that operation. As per Ind AS 21, an entity may have monetary item that is receivable from or payable to a foreign operation. An item for which settlement is neither planned nor likely to occur in the foreseeable future is in substance a part of entity's net investment in that foreign operation. Such monetary item may include long-term receivable or loan. They do not include trade receivable or trade payable. Through the origination of perpetual debt, A has made a permanent investment in B. Permanent investment in B because it is a perpetual debt. The interest payment are treated as interest receivable by A and interest payable by B, not as a repayment of principal debt. Understood? The principal component, there is no settlement planned. Hence, the fact that interest payment are perpetual does not mean the settlement is planned or likely to occur. Means even though interest is paid, it does not mean settlement is planned. The perpetual debt can be considered as A's net investment in B. In accordance with para Ind AS 21, the foreign exchange gain and loss should be recorded in the equity at CFS at a consolidated level because settlement of that perpetual debt is neither planned nor likely to occur in the foreseeable future. I hope you have understood this point. Very good question. Means just try to understand. When I say entity A has a foreign operation entity B, so entity B issued a perpetual debt. So who has issued? Entity B has issued a perpetual debt to entity A. This is subsidiary, this is parent company, correct? Yes, sir. Has issued means can I say this perpetual debt is a compound financial asset, is a compound financial instrument in the books of B, and in the books of A, it is investment in perpetual debt. Investment in perpetual debt. I hope you are understanding. Correct. Understood. Now, if you know this will be split into two part. This will be split into two part. One will be financial liability, other will be equity, and this will be done at fair value, and the difference will be means financial asset will be recognized as fair value, but there is only contractual cash inflow. Correct. Now difference will be considered as investment in equity instrument. Investment in equity instrument. So this investment in equity instrument, can it this is perpetual, this is perpetual. Are we able to understand what I am saying? Correct. So whatever exchange difference of this which may be transferred to what, PL will remain in equity in CFS, will remain in equity in CFS. I hope you have understood. Correct. Yes, sir. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Correct. This also you have understood. Then goodwill and fair value adjustment arising from a business combination. Now it might happen in exam. Suppose they have given one parent company in rupees and they have given one subsidiary in dollar. Till now they have not asked any question on consolidation of foreign subsidiary. If you want to learn the consolidation of foreign subsidiary, so of course I will not take in this lecture. I don't take in regular class also because they have not taken any question. But already I have uploaded a video of consolidation of foreign subsidiary in my YouTube. You can, if you want to learn that part, you can go there and you can watch it because it will take much time, 2 hours 3 hours it will take to explain you each and every point. So it is not important from examination point of view because they have not given any question in ICISM, but they may ask. I never say in my regular class also कि they will never ask. So I say in my regular class also, if you want to learn, already I have uploaded in YouTube channel. Why I don't do in class? Because sometime a chapter will become heavy if I do unnecessary part which are not related from examination point of view. Understood? Yes, sir. So only this topic I don't do in class to give comfort in the class for consolidation chapter. Understood? Yes, sir. Now what they say? Goodwill and fair value adjustment, goodwill and fair value acquisition accounting adjustment arising from a business combination are treated as assets and liability of foreign operation. So can I say any goodwill or any increase in the asset due to fair value adjustment is also assets and liability of foreign operation only? Foreign operation. So can I say that foreign operation need to be translated by using closing exchange rate, and any difference between goodwill any exchange difference due to what, goodwill on the date of acquisition and goodwill on consolidation date will be transferred to FCTR, only this much concept. Hence they are expressed in functional currency of foreign operation, and should be translated at closing exchange rate as the case may be for the other assets and liability for consolidation purpose. So goodwill and fair value adjustment will be always expressed in terms of functional currency of foreign operation. Means goodwill is always calculated on the basis of dollar. Means when we calculate goodwill or gain on bargain purchase, for that we prepare statement of net asset. The statement of net asset will be prepared in dollar. Then goodwill will be also calculated in dollar. Then we need to translate this by using what? Functional currency of reporting entity. Then any difference will be transferred to what? FCTR. I hope you have understood this point. Correct. We'll take one question based on this, which is given in this chapter. An expected question. What they have given? Yes. Global Limited, an Indian company. Question number 16. Indian company acquired on 30th September 70% of share capital of Mark Limited, an entity registered as a company in Germany. The functional currency of Global Limited is rupees and its financial year ended is 31st March 2002. The fair value of the net asset of Mark Limited was 23 million euro and the purchase consideration paid was 17.5 million euro on 30th September 2001. The exchange rate as on 30th September 2001 was 82 and 31st March 2002 was 84. What is the value at which goodwill has to be recognized in the financial statement of Global Limited on 31st March 2002? I hope you have understood what I am saying. So can I say first we need to calculate goodwill? Goodwill. So goodwill will be equal to what? Batao. Can I say purchase consideration they have given in what? 17.5 million. Purchase consideration they have given how much? 17.5 million. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they have given fair method. We need to calculate fair value of NCI. Fair value of NCI. So they have not given fair value of NCI. So we'll take what? Pasina of NCI. So we'll take Pasina of NCI. So that will be 23 into, because fair value of net asset 23 into 30%. Into 30%. So it is 23 into 30% is equal to what? 6.9 million euro. This is in euro. Correct? So it becomes 17.5 plus 6.9 is equal to 24.4. From this we'll deduct fair value of INA. Fair value of INA is equal to how much? 23. So what is the goodwill? This is goodwill on the date of acquisition. That is what? 1.4 million. 1.4 million. Correct. Euro. Are you able to understand? Yes, sir. So can I say on the date of acquisition, what was the rate? Date of acquisition, what was the exchange rate? Exchange rate on 30th September was uh, 1 euro was 82 rupees 82, and on the date of consolidation, means reporting date, it become how much? It become how much? 84. Are we able to understand? So on the date of acquisition, goodwill will be what? 1.4 into 82, that is 114.8 million, and on the date of consolidation it will be 1.4 into 84, that is 117.6 million, and the difference will be accumulated in FCTR, that is minus 114.8. So 2.8 million will be transferred to FCTR for translation of goodwill at closing exchange rate. I hope you have understood this point. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir, we have understood. Correct? Yes. Very simple. Very simple. But if you have not done, the simple question become complicated. Yes, sir. Then Mark Limited sold goods costing rupees, costing 2.4 million euro to Global Limited for 4.2 million euro during the year ended 31st March 2002. The exchange rate on the date of purchase by Global Limited was rupees 83 per euro, and on 31st March 2002 it became 84. The entire goods purchased from Mark Limited are unsold. Determine the unrealized profit to be eliminated in the preparation of CFS. In the preparation of CFS. Correct? Yes, sir. So just try to understand this point. Means We are doing point number 2. So this is what Mark Limited. So Mark Limited, can I say first Global Limited is a parent company, Mark Limited is a subsidiary company, and Mark Limited goods, sold goods to what? Uh, Global Limited costing, this was cost price was what? 2.4 million and sold at what? 4.2 million. 4.2 million. The profit earned is what? 4.2 minus 2.4, that is 1.8 million. Yes, sir. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Can I say they will recognize means for that stock will be recorded at 4.2 million, 4.2 million into what? They will translate by using the transaction date exchange rate. So what is the transaction date exchange rate? That is 83. So exchange rate on the date of purchase was 83. So they will use 83. Yes, sir. 83. So this become what? 4.2 into 83. That is 348. That is 348.6. That is 348.6. Any doubt in this? Batao. Correct. Any doubt in this? Can I say this include a profit of what? 1.8 into 83. How much? 1.8 into 83. That is 149.4. So 149.4 is included in this. Is included in this. Can I say this need to be eliminated? This need to be eliminated. I hope you have understood. This need to be eliminated. So this is the unrealized profit which need to be eliminated. This is the, because stock will not be translated by using closing exchange rate. So stock will be carried at cost, that is 4.2 into 83, and this include a profit, unrealized profit of 149.4. Let's see what they have given. Sale price is 4.2, unrealized profit is 1.8, exchange rate as on the date of purchase 83. Correct. As per, so to be eliminated is 1, they have also given this only. Correct. Check kalo. Same answer is given. I hope you have understood. This also you have understood. Correct. Yes, sir, we have understood. Yes, sir. Now, next point is disposal of foreign operation. Disposal of foreign operation. Correct. Foreign operation means subsidiary, associate, or joint venture. So it is very simple. Can you say either it can be full disposal or partial disposal with loss of control? It can be either partial disposal without loss of control. Means we are talking about foreign subsidiary. We are talking about foreign subsidiary. I hope you are understanding. So whenever there is a loss of control, there is a loss of control. So can I say FCTR need to be reclassified to PL? Simple. Only the entire FCTR will be reclassified to PL. So what they said, on disposal of FO, the cumulative exchange difference relating to that FO is recognized in FCTR are reclassified from OCI to PL as reclassification adjustment when gain or loss on disposal is recognized. Simple. But when partial disposal without loss of control, so that will be changes in proportion of NCI. That is changes in proportion of NCI. So can I say NCI means for the FCTR will be also attributable to NCI for the respective portion. Means what they say, in case of partial disposal of subsidiary without loss of control, the entity should reattribute the proportionate share of FCTR to NCI in that FO. So will reattribute the proportionate share of FCTR will reattribute the proportionate share of FCTR. So whenever there is a partial disposal, so whenever there is a disposal, so okay, there is an increase in NCI. So that much FCTR will be transferred to NCI. Will be transferred to NCI. So suppose there is a disposal of 10% of shares, so 10% of FCTR will be reattributed to NCI. I hope you understood. Have you understood this point? Bolo. Have you understood this point? Come to question number 6. One question will do for this also, so that all the points are covered. Question number 6. Parent P acquired 90% of subsidiaries some year ago. P now sells the entire investment in S for rupees 1500 lakh. The net asset of S are 1000 lakh and the NCI in S is 100 lakh. The cumulative exchange difference that have arisen during the P's ownership are gain of 200 lakh, resulting in a P's foreign currency translation reserve in respect of S having a credit balance of 180. So out of 200, 10% is attributable to NCI. So this 100 lakh NCI include that FCTR portion, and the balance FCTR will come in the consolidated financial statement. While the cumulative amount of exchange difference that have been attributed to NCI is 20 lakh. Calculate P's gain on disposal. Calculate P's gain on disposal. I hope you have understood. Correct. So in this, what journal entry? Can I say bank account debit? So the sale has been done at what price? 1500. Correct. Can I say no investment retained? So investment retained as per Ind AS 110 will come at fair value, but that is not given. Can you say NCI will be also eliminated? That is 100. Can you say 2 INA will be also eliminated? So INA is how much? It is given 1000. 1000. Correct. So they have given net asset. Of course, this will be inclusive of goodwill. Inclusive of goodwill. Understood? Yes, sir. And can you say FCTR will be also transferred to PL? So this will be 180. And the difference will be what? Total gain on disposal. Correct. This will be 1500 plus 100 plus 180 minus 1000, that is 780. Okay, this 780 consists of two components. One is reclassification profit of rupees what 180, reclassification profit is 180, and on disposal of shares there will be what? It will be 600 on disposal of shares. I hope you have understood. Yes, sir. Now suppose in this question, instead of 90%, 10% was sold. So it is what? Partial disposal without loss of control. Suppose only 10% was sold, and 10% was sold at rupees 150. Correct? So can I say we need to now change the proportion of NCI, change the proportion of NCI. So what journal entry will do? Cash account debit 150 to NCI. NCI will increase. NCI will increase with the 10% proportionate amount of carrying amount of net asset. So can I say the NCI will be increased by 1000 into 10%. Are you getting? Means it will increase by 100. I hope you have understood. Correct. And the difference of these will be transferred to other equity. So other equity will 50. Correct. So what Ind AS 21 says ki the FCTR FC means some portion of FCTR will be also attributed to NCI. So we'll do FCTR account debit to NCI. How much? Can this FCTR is 180, which represent 90% right now. 90%. Out of that 10% will be transferred. So it will be 10 by 90. 10 by 90. So it will be 180 divided by 90 into 10. So 20 will be transferred to NCI. Have you understood this point? Have you understood this point? I hope you have understood. Yes, sir, we have understood. This point also we have understood. Correct. Now, guidance provided by Appendix B to Ind AS 21. Already I have done one question based on this. All questions are covered. All concepts are covered. But I would like to take one more questions. Correct now. Come to question number 10. Initially, the answer given in the question number 10 was not correct. Correct now. Therefore, I was totally confused what to do in my regular class. But now they have given correct answer. तो इसको delete करो. Question number 10 delete. And the new question of the same nature is given in question number 12. Come to question number 12. Question number 10 delete it. Question number 12 write down expected. 100% expected in exam. Very good question. Now what they said. M Limited is engaged in the business of manufacturing a bottle for pharmaceutical companies and non-pharmaceutical companies. It is a wholly owned subsidiary. It has a wholly owned subsidiary G Limited which is engaged in the business of pharmaceuticals. G Limited purchased the pharmaceutical bottle from the parent company. The demand of G Limited is very high and the operations of M Limited are very large. Hence, to cater to the shortfall, G Limited purchased the bottle from other companies also. Purchases are made at competitive prices. Correct. M Limited sold pharmaceutical bottle to G Limited for Euro 12 lakh on 1st September 2001. On 1st September 2001, the cost of this bottle is 830 lakh in the books of M Limited at a time of sale. At year end, that is on 31st March 2001, all these bottles were lying as closing stock with G Limited. Euro is the functional currency of G Limited, while Indian rupees is the functional currency of M Limited. Following additional information is available. On 1st Feb, this is the rate. On 31st March, this is the rate. Correct? Provide accounting treatment for the above in the books of M and G. Also show the impact on CFS. Support your answer by journal entry wherever necessary in the books of M Limited. So they have asked journal entry in the books of M Limited. So in the books of M Limited, but I will also do in the books of G Limited. Can I say M Limited will do in rupees? G Limited will do in euro? Yes, sir. So what is first journal entry when it was purchased on 1st Feb? So 1st Feb में M Limited has sold to G Limited 1st Feb 2001. What journal entry? G Limited account debit to sale and it was sold at 12 lakh euro. So it is 12 lakh into 83, the date of transaction rate. So 12 into 83 is equal to 996. 996. Correct. Understood. I hope you have understood this point. Yes, sir. And what will be journal entry in this case on 1 Feb 2001? Can I say purchase account debit 12 to M Limited 12? Yes, sir. Then on 31st March 2001, this G Limited is a monetary item is debtor. This will be translated by using closing exchange rate and you can see it become 85. So G Limited account debit to exchange difference. Exchange difference. Exchange difference is what? It will be multiplied by 2. Yes, sir. So that become 24. 24 and that will be transferred to PL. Yes, sir. Can I say here we will not pass any journal entry? Yes, there is a payable also. Payable will be also translated. So on 31st March 2001, payable will be also payable. Array. This is not foreign currency transaction nalayak. So payable will not be translated यहाँ पर. Payable will not be translated. Understood? I hope you have understood this point. Correct. Understood. Now can I say this become closing stock? Closing stock because it remain unsold. It remain unsold. It remain unsold. So can I say it include profit which need to be eliminated? Which need to be eliminated. I hope you are understanding. So can I say this euro balance sheet will be translated into rupees balance sheet for consolidation purpose. Consolidation purpose. So can I say we'll have a stock. Stock will be translated by using closing rate. Are you able to understand? Similarly, M Limited means this payable will be also translated by using closing rate. I hope you are understanding. So payable M Limited. Yes, sir. So stock is how much? It is 12. What is the closing exchange rate? Closing exchange rate is what? 85. 85. I hope you are understanding. Bolo. I hope you are understanding. Correct. So this become 12 into 85, that is 1020. 1020 means whenever you are doing translation, translation will be done at closing exchange rate for what? Asset and liability. I hope you have understood this point. Any doubt? This point? No doubt. And can I say payable? Payable will be also done at closing exchange rate, that is 12 into 85. 12 into 85. So 12 into 85, that is 1020. You can see, this payable and receivable. In this case, receivable is also coming at what? 12 into 85 only, that is 1020. So this will be eliminated. This will be eliminated. And can I say this include an unrealized profit? Unrealized profit. So what is that unrealized profit that we need to find out? Unrealized profit will be what? How much? Can I say what was the 996? 996 is what? The sale price. What was the cost price? Cost price is what? Cost price they have given 830. So what is the unrealized profit? 996 minus 830. That is, sorry, 996 minus 830, which is equal to 166. 166. So this need to be eliminated. So this will be also eliminated. Means this include 1020, include 166 unrealized profit that need to be eliminated. That need to be eliminated. I hope you have understood this point. Have you understood this point? However, in this also suggested solution, one point is given wrong. Means I don't know from where they do this type of, they give suggested solution, but that will not impact the solution. That information will not impact. But I need to inform you what is wrong. 28.9 page number. Means what they have said, check करेंगे. What they have said, the closing stock of G Limited are recorded lower of cost to NRB, and you can see they have calculated cost price and then NRB. But can this cost to NRB, this principle in AS 2 will be applicable based on euro, not based on what? Rupees. But they are finding out cost price or NRB based on rupees. This is totally wrong because they are preparing financial statement in euro. They need to apply Ind AS 2 based on euro, and translation will be done as per Ind AS 21. Are you getting what I am saying? So this is totally wrong. Means this they have given, this was applicable in separate financial statement or individual financial statement. I hope you are understanding what I am saying. I hope you are understanding what I am saying. Are you able to understand? So this point is not applicable. This point is not applicable, even though it is not impacting, because they have also done at 99. Means they are saying cost price NRB, means they are saying, oh, it will impact. They are saying no write down required. So they are recording at 996. I am saying that it will come in functional currency, means in rupees, at 1020. Check karo. Yes or no? So whenever we are translating, so all assets and liability, including stock, will be translated at closing exchange rate. Will be translated at closing exchange rate. I hope you are understanding whatever I am saying. I hope you are understanding. Have you understood this point? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir, we understood. Any doubt about this? Have you understood? Yes, sir. We'll take one more question. In this chapter, Very good question they have given. But in exam they are not asking. Let me take one more question. Question number 17. On 1st April 2001, Makers Limited raised a long-term loan from foreign investor. The investor subscribed for 6 million foreign currency loan notes at par. It incurred incremental cost of 2 lakh. FCOM is foreign currency. Interest of 6 lakh is payable annually on 31st March starting from 31st March 2002. The loan is repayable on 31st March 2007 at a premium and effective annual rate of interest is 12%. The appropriate measurement basis for this loan amortized cost means the EIR. Relevant exchange rate is given 1st April itna, 31st March itna. Average rate is what? 2.42. The functional currency of the group is Indian rupee. What would be the appropriate accounting treatment for foreign currency loan in the books of Makers Limited for the year? Calculate the initial measurement, finance cost, and closing balance and exchange gain or loss. Correct now? Yes, sir. Have you understood the question? Very good question. Now, can you just try to understand? If I say, just try to understand, means what will my journal entry? So on 1st April 2001, what will be journal entry? Bank account debit to foreign currency loan, which is equal to 6 million into 2.5. It is 6 million into 2.5. Correct? Acha, there is one transaction cost also. So it will be reduced by transaction cost. So how much transaction cost? It is 2 lakh. So it will be 6 million. 6 million means how much lakhs? It is 60 lakh. So I will say 60 lakh minus 2 lakh. Correct? Into what? Into it is 2.5. 2.5. I hope you have understood this point. So can you see it become 58 lakh? 58 lakh into 2.5, that is 145 lakh. 145 lakh. Have you understood this point? This point have you understood? Bolo. Then on 31st March 2001, 2002, we recognize interest cost and effective rate is 12%. So what journal entry will do? That is interest expense to foreign currency loan. Foreign currency loan. So that will be based on 58 lakh. That will be based on 58 lakh into 12%. How much it is coming? Batao. Correct na? Yes, sir. Huh? Correct. So it is 58 lakh into 12%. It is 6.96 lakh. Yes, sir. Correct. So 6.96 into what? Into closing exchange rate, that is 2.75. Closing exchange rate. Correct. Or for interest expense we can take average rate also. For interest expense we can take average rate also. So average rate also can be taken, that is 2.42. So what is 2.42? So it is 6.96 into 2.42, that is how much? It is coming 16 lakh, means if I write down full, 16 lakh 84,320. 16 lakh 84,320. Yes, sir. Then on 31st March 2002, some amount has been paid. So what journal entry? Foreign currency loan, account debit to bank. So what is the contractual payment? 6 lakh, and this was paid on closing date. So we'll apply closing rate. Closing rate is what? It is 2.75. So multiplied by 2.75, 2.75. So it is 6 lakh into 2.75, that is 16 lakh 50,000. So 16 lakh 50,000 has been 16 lakh 50,000 has been paid. Understood this point? Yes, sir. And now can I say, just try to understand what I am saying. Now, what is your, if I say, this much so you have understood? Any doubt? I hope you have understood. Now, you need to also find out ki what is your what closing liability. What is your closing liability? The closing liability will be what? 114 lakh 50,000. No, sorry. 145 lakh plus this minus this 145 lakh. So 145 lakh plus 16 lakh 84,320 minus 16 lakh 50,000 is equal to what? This become how much? One second. 14 lakh 50,000. Sorry. 145 lakh plus 16 lakh 84,320 minus 16 lakh 50,000 is equal to what? This become the closing liability is equal to 145 lakh 34,320. Have you understood this point? Have you understood this point? And can I say the closing liability by applying closing rate, closing exchange rate will be what? That we need to understand. So can I say first we need to find out in terms of dollar. So can I say in terms of dollar, this is what? 60 lakh minus 2 lakh means how much? It is 58 lakh plus 6.96, 58 lakh plus 6.96 minus 6. So it becomes 58.96. This becomes 58.96 lakh. Correct? Understood? And this is in foreign currency multiplied by closing exchange rate. What is the closing exchange rate? It is 2.75. So if you multiply by 2.75, this become into 2.75 is equal to what? 162 lakh 14,000. The difference between these two is how much? So 162 lakh 14,000 minus 145 34 320 is equal to what? This is 16 lakh 79,680. This will be exchange difference which will be transferred to PL. I hope you have understood. Have you understood this point? Very good question. This is also very good question. Any doubt? Any doubt? Simple? Yes, sir. So this is also one expected question. I am expecting in exam. Expected question. Correct. With this, I have covered all the points related to this chapter. Ind AS 21, all the points has been covered. I hope you have understood Ind AS 21. Any doubt? No doubt. Correct. Now we'll take one more chapter. Which chapter will take? Means all the big chapter has been done. Now whatever small chapters are left. Correct? Yes, sir. So we'll take Ind AS 101. We'll start Ind AS 101, first time adoption of Ind AS. I'm expecting one question based on this also, because two very good question has been given in RTP, and that is also included in revised study material. So an expected question from this means whenever a question will be asked from this topic, which will be suppose big question, you have to prepare opening Ind AS balance sheet. So that question may be difficult if you have no conceptual understanding of this chapter. Correct? Let us take this chapter. First time adoption of Ind AS. So any entity who is applying Ind AS for the first time, so they need to prepare one opening Ind AS balance sheet. Opening Ind AS balance sheet means what? Balance sheet on the date of transition. Now what is that date of transition that we need to understand? Means Ind AS 101 applies to first Ind AS financial statement and also each interim financial report for the part of the period covered by the first Ind AS financial statement. Correct? Correct. Now, accounting under Ind AS should be applied at the time of transition to Ind AS as it will result in changes in accounting policies. So, when we translate our financial statement from previous GAAP, which was based on accounting standard notified under Companies Accounting Standard Rule 2006, to Ind AS financial statement. So of course this will result in changes in accounting policy. So whenever changes in accounting policy, retrospective application will be very much complicated. Therefore under Ind AS 101, they have given many exemption from retrospective application. That exemption we need to understand. What are the exemption given for the retrospective application under Ind AS 101 that we need to understand? Yes, sir. However, Ind AS 101 has given certain exemption from retrospective application of Ind AS. Such exemptions are of two types, either mandatory or voluntary exemption. There are some mandatory exemption, there are some voluntary, depends upon the entity whether they want to avail that exemption or not. Ind AS 101 do not provide any exemption from disclosure requirement, but disclosure requirement will be done based on Ind AS. No exemption is from disclosure requirement. Now definition.